Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today, for the first time in the Premier League this season, we are talking about Manchester United winning by more than one goal. Of course, the 3-0 win over Everton, which will always be remembered for this goal. But we won't just be discussing the goal, we'll be talking about Erik ten Hag from a tactical point of view, we'll be talking about individual performances of certain players, we'll be talking about whether or not United actually deserve to win, we will be looking at the tactics, we will be looking at a little bit of everything. So let's just get straight into this and start with the first 15 minutes or so of the game, where I thought United actually played quite well. We all knew that coming into this game, this was going to be a hostile atmosphere. Everton, with their recent point deduction, you know, the fans feel hard done by. It was intense in that stadium. Really, really intense. But United started the game brilliantly because they took the sting out of the crowd. And they done that by being patient, by taking their time on the ball, by keeping possession. And that was exactly what they needed to do. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. So, for example, Onana here would just stand there with the ball. Harry Maguire and Lindelof would drop either side of him, essentially creating a back three with the goalkeeper. Calvert-Lewin and Doucouré would kind of try and press as a front two. And because United are taking so long on the ball here, taking so many touches, you know, really slowing the game down, Everton eventually feel that they have to start applying some sort of pressure, right? But then we got Kobbie Mainoo is going to drop as the deepest midfielder, almost into a sixth position in the pivot. McTominay is going to push a little bit higher, tying up the Everton midfielders. And what we can see here is that with Lindelof, Onana, Maguire and Kobbie Mainoo, we are 4 versus 2 in the middle here. And when you've got someone like Mainoo who is happy to receive the ball in this area, drop the shoulder, turn and then move forward, United are really good at playing out of the press in the early stages. And again, they were really taking the sting out of the Everton crowd. It was the perfect start, really. They were controlling the ball in these areas. From here, they were then able to move up the pitch. Kobbie Mainoo, for example, would carry the ball forward. Perhaps Fernandes would split wider. Martial could then drop into feet, like so. United were playing quite well. We were also seeing early switches of play. So you'd play out from the back like this. Mainoo would then go to the side to Harry Maguire, who would then look for a switch over to Garnacho on the other side, or Lindelof out to Marcus Rashford. United started the game well. And of course, in the start of the game, we also saw one of the best goals you'll ever see. So this goal has come from a big switch of play from the other side of the pitch. From the left back area, it's been switched over to Marcus Rashford, who has a good first touch. And this is the advantage of playing quick attacking football. We now have a 2 versus 1 against the fullback. McNeil here for Everton is going to do his best to try and get back and defend the situation. But because United moved the ball so quick, it's hard to get back in. So you create your 2 versus 1. The ball gets played to the underlapping run. Dalot pushes forward into this sort of position. We can see Garnacho at the top of the picture here above me, just lurking in the penalty area. Dalot puts the ball into the box, and then Garnacho does this. It might be the best goal we've ever seen in Premier League history. The technique, the power, how far out he is, the fact that he runs backwards to get onto it and puts it top bins up here is just absolutely ridiculous. It's phenomenal. It is absolutely unbelievable. It's an incredible goal, and it really, you know, this was 2 minutes in, it really highlighted what United done so well early on in the game. They went to Everton, and they just completely killed the hostility. They killed it completely, which is exactly what United needed. But then after the goal, you know, United continue what they're doing for 10 minutes or so, a good first 15 minutes. But then United change, and they start playing a bit more risk-averse approach, combined with a time when Everton was starting to squeeze a little bit higher. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. So Doucouré and Calvert-Lewin basically went, we're going to go and press higher, so Onana is now, you know, not able to step into this position here. And this is what Everton done well. So they just kind of started stealing a few extra yards in these areas. They're also going to go tighter on Kobbie Mainoo, which is going to stop him getting the ball and constantly turning in this area. Basically, Everton realised that for the first 15 minutes, he was the key man, him and Onana. So they decided to take one of those players out. And they're going to really kind of condense the pitch, squeeze much higher. Now, what the top teams do in these situations is to play the ball up from the back. You know, they control the ball, they're patient, try and work different angles, people drop into different areas, manipulate the opposition. But not Manchester United. For some reason, you know, again, I think it's just to avoid risk, really. You're 1-0 up, you don't need to chase the game. We just started pumping the ball on. And it was super frustrating because I thought the first 15 minutes was so good and it was everything that I wanted to see. But then what we saw for the next probably 45 minutes of action was if United are in this position here, they get the ball here, Calvert-Lewin presses and we go, okay, I'll send the ball long. And, you know, Martial done okay at winning certain battles, but against Branthwaite and Tarkowski in physical duels, you're going to lose most of the time. It didn't work at all for United. We would see goal kicks where we would work the ball short. For example, Lindelof would take it. He's going to take the goal kick. Doucouré is going to come across. And Onana's just going to pump the ball on. Why can't we go into Kobbie Mainoo here, who can then play to Lindelof? United had the potential to do this. Kobbie Mainoo was in the position to receive the ball here, but United didn't do it. It was even worse in the situations where Mainoo rotated a little bit higher and McTominay dropped as the deepest midfielder. Then there was no interest in playing out. And this is where I'd really criticise the Manchester United players. All of them except Kobbie Mainoo. Because these are all experienced footballers. And the only one of them who had the nerve to receive the ball under pressure in a hostile atmosphere, take the ball under pressure, trust his first touch and turn away and control the game, take the extra touch, was Kobbie Mainoo. And for that reason, I am going to do a video specifically on him later today. We done a video yesterday looking at what he could bring. Later today, we're going to break down his whole performance because I thought he was by far the best player on the pitch. He was absolutely incredible. But I feel like the rest of the United players were, you know, shown up a little bit because they weren't willing to take the extra touch. They weren't composed enough to play out from the back. And instead, they were just pumping the ball long. And this was the next hour of the football match, really. It was Everton on the ball. What they're going to do is they're going to try and play out from the back a little bit. For example, someone like Ashley Young will get the ball here. Harrison's going to sprint short to drag Luke Shaw. And then Calvert-Lewin is going to peel onto Victor Lindelof into this area because he knows that Lindelof is the only centre-back in world football who hates physical contact. So Young's going to put the ball into the channel here. Calvert-Lewin's going to get nice and physical with Victor Lindelof and, you know, win that battle most of the time. And Everton have just bought themselves 40 yards with one pass and one battle. This allows them to get up the pitch. We're then going to see the likes of Harrison, Garner pushing forward, McNeil as well, Mikalenko when he could, and of course Ashley Young as well. Everton are committing men forward and hurting United and getting into really good positions. And if it weren't for Onana, United wouldn't have won this game. Onana in this match prevented 2 XG. So United may have won this game 3-0, right? And we'll come back to some more of the good stuff in a minute. But to focus on the negatives real quick. The XG there, we can see that Everton had higher. 2.47 to United's 2.22. Everton had more possession. Everton had more shots. Now, you might look at it and say, well, Everton had 24 shots, but I guess they weren't that high value. But even that would be a lie in a way, because they had 14 shots inside the Manchester United penalty area. That's unforgivable. The long pass numbers also don't look good for United either. I've got it written down here. So Everton attempted 58 and completed 24. That's a Sean Dyche long ball side, you know, is what we associate Sean Dyche with. United attempted 71. So United won 3-0, but this wasn't a good performance. Let's just make that clear real quick. I've come in with quite a positive energy today. It was a bad performance. You should not be attempting 13 more long balls than Everton. Not 18 months into the project, really. So it was poor. United had no control in this game. Everton, for me, were by far the better team for large parts of this football match. Onana, like I said, prevented over 2 expected goals. He was absolutely brilliant with his shot stopping. Absolutely incredible. But why can we not see more of the possession side of it? Because out of possession, you know, people are going to say Maguire defended well, and he did. Again, Maguire's another one. Without Maguire, United wouldn't have won this football match because he done such a good job of beating Calvert-Lewin in the air and defending his box. He was brilliant. But it was so easy, again, to get at United's box. McTominay didn't do enough defensively. He wasn't winning enough duels. Again, Kobbie Mainoo was the one player who actually looked like he could shield the defence. The one who, you know, at times was willing to cover for his fullback being dragged out, go out and put a tackle in. We saw it on this side as well. If Dalot got dragged out, Kobbie Mainoo was more than happy to filter into this area here to cover him. But the problem is, the likes of McTominay and Bruno Fernandes then didn't really cover the cutback zone well enough. So United got away with one defensively. The good thing for United, to, you know, put a positive spin back on it, was that Ten Hag got quite a simple principle that we all believe in spot on. He finally actually used it. And that was, Bruno Fernandes, as we can see here, was in the middle. Now that might sound like quite a simple thing to point out, right? It's not that big a deal. But when Bruno Fernandes is in the middle, and you're playing a game where you're having 50-50 possession, or 51-49 as we saw, it's transitional. Both teams get a lot of space on the counter-attack to try and make something happen. And when you put Bruno Fernandes in the middle of that, rather than on the right wing, what you see is a much more creative, free-flowing Manchester United on the counter. Now, unfortunately for Bruno Fernandes, in terms of those supporting him, Marcus Rashford was pretty terrible, right? He scored his penalty. Shout out Bruno Fernandes for the great leadership to give him the penalty, but Rashford was really poor in this game. Hopefully he kicks on soon. Garnacho was in the goal already, but apart from that, he was a little bit quiet. But the important thing was, in big moments in the second half, Bruno Fernandes was in central areas between the Everton double pivot. He was finding this gap in here and creating chances for Martial. And this was something I spoke about in my tactical preview. Get Bruno Fernandes between a double pivot. Enough of this receiving out here. Had enough of that nonsense. Get him in these areas between the opposition double pivot and he'll create chances. And it's exactly what we saw for the second goal and the third goal. So let's head over to it again. We've got a second goal here. It's coming on the counter-attack. So we can see this is United's game plan at this point. Play in transition. United realise they can't control the ball because they're not good enough at football. Let's play in transition. Harry Maguire, for some reason, is on the right wing. Bit of a weird move. Goes into the feet of Anthony Martial. We can see that traditional Martial drop. Rashford running behind. It's a good little combination, which we've seen many times. But the ball's going to be laid off by Martial to Bruno Fernandes, who once again, we can see, is in the middle of the pitch, not stuck out on the right wing. And when this happens, he's able to receive the ball, carry the ball forward, and then slip the pass through to Anthony Martial. Martial takes a good touch, gets fouled, wins the penalty. But it all comes from the fact that Bruno Fernandes is in the middle. He's in a centralised area where he gets a lot of the ball, has much more passing angles, and tends to play much, much better. He's much more influential. We've got it for the third goal here as well, another counter-attack. This time it's Facundo Pellistri up against Branthwaite. Branthwaite does quite poor. He's a player that I'm a big fan of, and I actually think United should look at him in the future. But he does really poor here. He just gives Facundo Pellistri too much respect, too much time on the ball. Facundo Pellistri takes advantage of that, eventually comes inside, and look where Bruno Fernandes is. He's in a central area. We can see he is in this zone 14 on the edge of the penalty area. And what he's going to do, Facundo Pellistri is going to come inside, eventually play the ball to Bruno Fernandes, who has this license to roam about the pitch. Martial's going to make a good run off the ball past him, like so. Bruno Fernandes gets on the turn, slides the ball through, and Anthony Martial lifts the ball over Jordan Pickford. Job done. 3-0 Manchester United. Again, it will always be remembered for this goal. It will be looked at as a 3-0 win. It means United have more points in the league than they did after 13 games last season, which seems crazy to say. But to stay grounded, it was poor. It was a bad performance, and it does leave me questioning this guy a little bit. Tactically, there was no need for United to be so long ball in this game. I understand that there are certain game states which suit it, but you cannot be conceding 2 XG to Everton. No disrespect to Everton. It's not acceptable. You can't face 14 shots in your own penalty area, 24 shots in total. You can't be relying on Onana to bail you out time and time again. That can't really happen. So it wasn't a good performance. Don't get too overexcited about this. The players which played well, Garnacho, brilliant with that one moment, although to be fair, actually a slightly quiet game outside of that, but what a goal. Luke Shaw, I think, had a good return. Harry Maguire was good with his box defending, his headers were good in this area. Dalot done okay. Bruno Fernandes produced in moments. 2 big moments, really. Martial produced in 2 moments. But it felt like a lot of players were producing, in moments here and there. The one consistent player was Kobbie Mainoo, which is a real credit to him at 18 years old in that environment. And like I said, this evening I will be doing a full breakdown of his performance. So subscribe to the channel and get notifications on so you get alerted, basically, the second that video goes up. Because you will not want to miss it. This was a special performance from such a young player. But in terms of this particular video covering the overall game, we are finished for today. So let me know what you think. Have I been a little bit harsh on my final kind of assessment of the game? What went wrong? Why were we so controlled and then so direct? Let me know what you think. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.